Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Kickster Rankings. So today I'm going to be ranking my top 10 Christmas movies. So full disclosure, I haven't seen every Christmas movie, obviously. In fact, I don't even think I've seen that many in the grand scheme of things. I've probably seen roughly around 20 odd in my life, but I've narrowed it down to the top 10 of the ones that I've seen. So to be clear, this is not what I believe is to be the top 10 greatest of all time. These are my top 10 personal favorites from the ones I have seen. And so after hearing this list, I hope you get into the comment section below and post all of your personal favorites, any ones that you think that I might have missed or that I should definitely check out. I want to hear them all and I'd love to see them. So without further ado, let's get started, starting with number 10. So in 10th place is A Christmas Carol starring Jim Carrey. This was obviously the animated version of the story of Ebenezer Scrooge. I only saw this movie once and I didn't see it that long ago actually, and I quite liked it. I can't say I thought it was amazing or I loved it or anything like that, but I thought it was a decent film, and I particularly thought that the animation quality was outstanding, particularly like now it's maybe 12, 13 years old, the film, but I thought it was really good. You know, it's the classic tale of Scrooge, the man who hates Christmas, and he's pretty nasty to everyone he comes across until he finally comes around to it at the very end, and that's a lovely scene when it does happen. But the film just kind of tells the story really well, and it's obviously, and he uses the animation to assist in that storytelling. And so yeah, I thought it was a really decent film, and so I have it in 10th place. In 9th place is Jingle All The Way starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. So this was kind of a different film for him at this time, you know, usually the action hero kind of guy, but here he is basically in a Christmas comedy. The main premise is that he's trying to it's all about trying to get this toy, the Turbo Man, for his son. His son is obsessed with this toy, and he's just going everywhere to try and find this toy for his son for Christmas, and it all culminates in the end where he actually ends up being Turbo Man at the very end at that parade. Fun movie. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember I used to love it as a kid and I used to watch it quite a bit. And it's the part of it that I guess I connected with the most as a kid was just that idea of being obsessed with a particular toy. So I very much related with the child in that film and his obsession with wanting that toy. And so it was kind of nice to see like what it would be like to be my dad in that situation, having to track down this really popular toy that he can't get his hands on anywhere. So I just thought it was a really fun little concept for a Christmas movie. It's a great little film, and yeah, 9th place. Number 8 is The Polar Express. So this is another animated film. This is a really good film. I really like it for many reasons. The animation style is the main starting off reason. But other than that, like I love the story that it's like this almost like a dreamlike kind of story. You know, a boy who in the middle of the night boards a train that is supposed to take him to the North Pole to meet Santa, and he has other kids on board and whatnot. And obviously you got Tom Hanks as the star of the film from a voice acting perspective, and he does many of the voices, including some of the kids. Really impressive stuff from the voice acting standpoint, I should say. But the story is just really delightful and really fun, and really one of those stories that as a kid, again in particular, that you can really relate to, and it's something you would dream about, you know, boarding a train to go and meet Santa Claus. Like, which kid wouldn't want to do that? And yeah, just a really great story. So yeah, in 8th place. In 7th place is Miracle on 34th Street. So from what I understand, there's a few versions of this film over the years. The one I'm talking about is the 1994 release, which I think is the most recent one, which starred Richard Attenborough. And yeah, I really liked this film when I saw it. It was so wholesome. I love finding these, discovering this kind of old school wholesome films that you don't really get much of anymore. And the idea that, you know, here's this man playing Santa Claus with Kris Kringle, this little girl who doubts Santa, doubts Christmas and all of it. She meets him and he's basically convincing her that he is the real Santa. And there's this whole thing that gets wrapped up in it with like a lawsuit and all that, where they're suing him for, you know, claiming to be the real Santa, all this stuff. I'm trying to remember the whole story, but I remember I really liked it at the time, and it's just really a nice little film. Richard Attenborough's performance is the standout to me as to why I like it. He just really brings that gravitas, that wisdom, and that twinkle in the eye that you want from a Santa Claus. Like, to me, he just looks like Santa, like almost more than any other version of Santa I've ever seen. And, you know, I'm a Jurassic Park fan, so John Hammond basically playing Santa Claus, I mean, it just works for me. So yeah, I have Miracle on 34th Street in 7th place. In 6th place, this one might be a bit of a surprise, but it's actually Christmas with the Cranks. So when I looked at the scores and reviews for this film is absolutely hated. It had like 5 or 6% on Rotten Tomatoes, which kind of baffled me because I always loved this movie from the first time I saw it, and I've seen it a few times. But I mean, it's a really basic concept, and it is a dumb kind of silly comedy Christmas movie, but I really love it. And, you know, Tim Allen obviously in it, and Jamie Lee Curtis, they're a married couple who basically live on a street that really gets into Christmas every year. This year they say they're not getting into it and they're going to do something else, and the whole street kind of revolts against them, trying to get them to basically celebrate it and to put up decorations and whatnot, and they're just constantly fighting back against it. Like it's a fun little movie. I love Tim Allen, and yeah, I don't understand the hate for it. Like I could understand it being very mixed, or maybe people think it's a dumb, silly movie, but it really, like, it cops a lot of hate. But to me, it's one that I could easily watch every Christmas. So yeah, sixth place, Christmas with the Cranks. In fifth place is Die Hard. So believe it or not, I only saw this movie for the first time a few weeks ago, like very recently. And I know I've always heard it was a classic. I just, for some reason, never got around to watching it. And I watched it and I loved it, not just as a Christmas movie, but just as an action movie as well. And obviously there's that huge debate about this movie. Is it a Christmas movie? Is it not? Obviously I put it on this list, so I do count it as one. And the reason I count it as one is I've had this kind of discussion where comparing it to movies that might qualify as Christmas but aren't. And as an example, Iron Man 3. So Iron Man 3 is set at Christmas as well. And people ask, well, why isn't that a Christmas movie? The reason I would say so is I think the element of like music in it. So in Die Hard, there is Christmas songs at the beginning of the film, at the end of the film, even throughout. And it's obviously set at a Christmas party in a building the whole time. So obviously the Christmas party becomes a second tier story compared to the terrorists who are there, but it's the starting point of the film. It's the whole basis of why they're all there. It's for a Christmas party. And so yeah, and the fact that there's music and all that makes it more than just a film that's set at Christmas. It actually is, Christmas actually plays a role in the film, more so than other films that you could compare that only are just set at Christmas. And so yeah, I really like this film. In fact, I loved it. And Die Hard in fifth place. In fourth place is another Tim Allen film, and that is The Santa Claus, the original one. This is another one that I only watched in recent years. I didn't watch it when it came out all those years ago. I only watched it recently, and yeah, I really liked it. I knew what the premise was going in, and it was exactly that. You know, he's a man who accidentally kills Santa, and then he ends up embodying Santa himself against his own will, and has to basically save Christmas by delivering all the presents to all the kids around the world. And so yeah, it was an original concept when it came out at the time, you know, especially during that part of the movie where you see his belly growing, his beard growing, all this stuff, he's changing. It's really fun stuff. It's a funny movie too. And yeah, it's just very, very wholesome. I love that about Christmas movies, particularly from the 90s. And so yeah, The Santa Claus in fourth place. So we're down to the top three, and in third place is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, starring Chevy Chase. So I'm kind of biased with this one in the sense that I just love Chevy Chase. Anything he's in, I just love, and he just makes, his style of humor just makes me crack up, and that's why I just love Christmas Vacation. You know, the way the film builds up with essentially the first half of the film before anyone actually arrives, and then the rest of the second half is all about that dinner and just the mayhem that goes on at that dinner, and just seeing Chevy Chase as what's his name? Griswold. I'm blanking on his first name. Clark Griswold. He just going mad and going crazy about all the sort of things, his family driving him crazy. It's just great stuff. I love the setting. I love his quick-witted humor and all the quick jabs he gets in there and jokes about different characters. It's just, I love it. And so yeah, it's just a great Christmas movie all around. And the idea of him, the struggle to get the lights working, all these little things just around the house. I just love it. And so yeah, Christmas Vacation in third place. In second place for me is Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. I don't know if there's many films I've watched more than this one. I've watched it so many times, particularly in my childhood growing up. I was obsessed with the Home Alone films. The second one to me is just almost as good as the first one. I love the setting, obviously, with New York and all of that. But just, there's messages in these films that are really great, that even as I watch as an adult, you can appreciate these ideas, particularly in this one where he meets the homeless lady, and the idea that he's scared of her at first, and then he comes to like her and helps her and sees the value in helping her and teaches him lessons, and also the lessons about the turtle doves from the toy store, and all of these things, the themes throughout the film, like, and just in the way it just kind of built off of the first one with the traps that he sets. They kind of take it to another level with like some really funny traps that he puts the two main bad guys through. So yeah, like I love the film. I love the setting. It's just a really great Christmas movie for me. Very nostalgic from my childhood. It's one of the films that I grew up watching the most. And so yeah, Home Alone 2 in second place. So in first place, I don't think it's going to come as a surprise based on what I just said was my second one, but in first place is Home Alone. This, I think it's just become, as the years have gone by, I think more people have just come to love this film even more. I think it's grown in like popularity as the years gone by, strangely enough, and as popular as it was when it came out. But yeah, to me, it just gets more and more nostalgic every year. People love it. They just want to see it every Christmas time, and I understand why. It's just really a throwback. Even the neighborhood that he lives in, his house is amazing. It's beautiful. The neighborhood is beautiful. Everything like that. The music is outstanding. It is a John Williams soundtrack, so it shouldn't be surprising. John Williams is always the best when it comes to music. And yeah, like, I mean, obviously Macaulay Culkin, like he had a few roles before this, but this would really made him a big time star as a kid. And he's fantastic as a little child actor in this film. He's hilarious. You know, and then you obviously have the likes of Joe Pesci in this film, like a heavy hitting actor, but playing a bad guy in a comedic role. It's great stuff. And obviously the pranks and all these things, it's like, so much of it is great. And again, as I mentioned with the second one, this one has the lessons too. The lesson of not judging a person on the cover, not judging a book by its cover. You know, the old man that creeps him out until gets to know him a bit. He goes to the church, and again, the theme of like going to the church, you know, for guidance is something that's really lost from films these days. You could really benefit from going back to the establishing of like morals and ethics and kind of like these universal values that we all know and we used to all share. Now we don't share those things anymore, but it used to just kind of be that universal truth of where you would go when you were feeling lost or disconnected. And so yeah, it's just beautiful themes throughout the whole film, like great comedy to great performances, great music, everything. I love this film to death. I will only continue to love it more as the years go by, and to me it is the quintessential Christmas film and always will be to me, I think. So yeah, Home Alone in first place. So that's my list, guys. I'm sure there's some obvious ones and some really questionable ones in there for you. As I said at the beginning, I'd love to hear your thoughts and your suggestions in the comment section below. If there's films that I should add that I haven't seen or haven't mentioned here, maybe I have seen them, but I just didn't regard them as highly, but definitely I want to hear them all, no matter if they're good, bad, or indifferent. So yeah, thanks for watching this video, guys. I really appreciate it. Give it a like if you enjoyed it, and please subscribe to my channel, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.